The book, Prince, The Making of a Champion, as you are aware, this has taken me about 25 years, really.
Yeah.
And two schools of thoughts, I suppose, that motivated me to write the book. A champion's born or a champion's made. And obviously, the debate goes quite on for a long time, but for me, I think I subscribe to the school of thought that they are made. I'm even cool with going with they're both born and made.
Okay.
But I really do believe that it does take a lot of challenges and adversities. And some of those issues that we go through encounter even as we grow. We don't, bargain for. We don't, sort of work ourselves into thinking that, okay, this is the pathway that my life is going to take, that twists and turns of life. And that was really the motivation of my heart when I was writing the book. And in there, I started now going through, the biblical characters.
Yeah.
The type of people that God used. Whether it was Moses, whom we know, murderer, but God calls him. And at a time when he's actually running away, not even interested in delivering his people, grew very princely. And there he is in Pharaoh's courts by the time they found out that he's killed somebody, and he runs away, finds himself in Midian, and there a sort of a supernatural miracle gives him a turnaround. The burning bush experience takes place there, and he becomes 3 million leader of Jews, and he pastors these guys throughout the whole desert. And I look at that and I'm thinking, wow, it seems to me as if that God has these amazing ways in doing things. And when I keep on going with these biblical characters, I find Abraham, and I'm looking at him, he's worshiping the sun gods. He's in the Chaldees, and for all I know, it was a very paganistic nation, really. And God calls him out of your country, out of your family, leave everything behind, go to the land that I'm gonna tell you to go to. Takes his family and few belongings, and he goes out. But along the way before he arrives or reaches the city that God had assigned him for, he diverts to a place called Egypt.
Yeah.
And right there, then what happens, he finds the young maiden, the Egyptian girl, which was Hagar. And one thing after the other, Ishmael is born out of Hagar because he diverted himself. And so I begin to realize that this whole deal about the making of a champion is not something really that happens on a straight line.
No.
Sometimes we like our lives to be linear that way. So I think when I was writing this book, really, my thoughts were really more into that here. What are the key strategies that make out a champion? So throughout the scriptures, you in this book, you'll find out I do quote guys like Jephthah, like Samson. I quote many characters like Esther, like Deborah. You'll find it everywhere. That it is really guys who are just living ordinary, mundane lives. God picks them. Some of them are very rough diamonds in that sense. And then he begins to work into their lives. And then he refines them. And out of that, just see the beauty of how God really molds his people. And that's really was my motivation. So I thought, Prince, coming from Africa, son of the soil, I wanted you to tell us a little bit really about where you grew up and what would have been the circumstances when you were growing up, and what would you classify in your life as those issues, whether they were hard or they were easy in and around your life. I just want to know a little bit about you, really. So please go ahead and let me know.
Well, thanks, Pastor Josh, for having me here and just having the opportunity to talk about the making of a champion.
Yeah.
Really, I was born in from what my parents have told me, actually, I didn't pay much attention to my childhood upbringing until later in life when I began to understand what really transpired. But the story is that, well, I've never known my father. I don't know if you know that, but I've never met my father. So my mom got pregnant when she was just a young teenage girl. And there I was born. And she was still at school. She had to go back to school. So when I was 9 months old, my grandparents took over. So she left me with my grandparents. beautiful, wonderful grandparents. So I grew up with my grandparents, and they're the ones that really played a major part in my early childhood. You know, from 9 months old to, I think, when I started my grade 1. Grade 2, grade 3. I was still living with my
and they were paying for you.
Well, we were in the village. We lived in the village. So my grandmother, as far as I can remember, she used to brew a traditional brew, you know, and my grandfather was a farmer, so they used to grow, you know, different crops, and from there, that's how I was really raised. And because they had their children in the cities, you know, in the urban areas, so they would move from the village, you know, after planting season, then they would go visit. So everywhere my grandfather went, I went with him. Wow. So I traveled to Ndola, which is another part of the country, to Southern Province, and everywhere, wherever my grandfather went, I was there, you know, until he passed away in 1985, actually, 1985. When he died, that's when really things, and I grew up not really, my mom wasn't really part of that early part of my life. I used to see her sometimes with me, she would come to see me, but my grandparents really are the ones that raised me and brought me up in those early, the formative years of my life. Until when I started grade 1, a lot of interruptions, because I was mobile most of the time. So my early learning from grade 1 to grade 3 really, I think I must have even skipped grade 2. I don't remember being in grade 2.
Oh my goodness!
Because of the movements. So I used to move from one place to the other, you know, and it really, that part of my life really was really, I was everywhere.
Wow. I just want to interject there, Prince. It seems to me that, you know, when I actually hear you talk right now, I'm thinking, wow, it's like almost like a mirror of my life. I mean, I grew up in Zimbabwe, was born in Zimbabwe, and there you are in Zambia. And two parallel lives, people that would never think that we're going to meet here in Perth, in Australia, right?
Yes, sir.
But when I look at you, I emulate your life. Got a beautiful family, and I've seen the consistency. I've known you probably for more 14 years or whatever. But I think right from the time that I started, you know, knowing you, and I've watched your prayer life, your love for God, and it just sort of really authenticates the same thing. Champions really are really made, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I wouldn't have known. I didn't know actually that you're raised by your grandparents, but I used to hear stories that, I mean, you had a tough upbringing, but you know, but I didn't know that it was to that degree. Wow, that's interesting.
So that's really, it was that was my upbringing really, and very, very poor background. My mom, well, she was moving from one place to another as well, being raised by her own siblings as well, elder siblings. So there was not really room for us to live together until later in life. Actually, when I wrote my grade 7, I was in grade 8. That was the first time I lived with my mother, you know, in one place. And God bless her, she used to work really hard to send me, because she's the one who paid for my school fees, you know, secondary school fees, and I was in boarding school. My mother worked hard. I think the one thing that I really, really appreciate God about my mom is that she had her own weaknesses, but she knew education was important.
Wow.
You know, and she made sure that she sought anything she could. You know, she was working in just a receptionist job, which paid very little. And to bring up 4 children by herself was really hard. And so she had to work hard to send us to school, and especially because I think she noticed that my focus was school. When I gave my life to Jesus, the 2 things that really I told myself, these things I'll never make it. It was my education and God. When I gave my life to God, I said I don't want to live in poverty, because the place where we lived was a place where it was surrounded by poverty. When we moved to that place, that shanty compound, it was at a time that there was no electricity. So we used to use candles, and my mom had this radio. In the evenings, we'd sit down around the radio and listen. We used to sing choir songs. She loved to sing in the choir, so we used to sing around the...
Did you have fire as well in the middle?
We'd have a candle there, and we'd be singing, and she would be telling us stories. And it was the little we had, but it was the love, that nature, that really, the warmth. For me, that was important. But, you know, it was, at that moment, God found me, God found me in that situation. And when I gave my life to God, there were 2 things. I said, I'm gonna pay attention in school, get an education, get out of this poverty.
Oh, come on, Prince.
Another thing I said, I'm never gonna be. I don't want to be like my father, who left. You know, and I want to be a good father. You know, so in those circumstances, champions are made. It is those hard situations that made me to determine to say I don't want to be like that. I want to get out of this poverty. I want to get out of this. I want to make a difference. I want to be a good father. I want to be a good husband. I want to be there, you know, for my family.
You know,
when I have that opportunity.
Few things even now as you're explaining, you know, I was sticking out even in this conversation. I'm thinking, wow, you know, oftentimes when you write a book, obviously because some of these characters that I'm writing here, they're very abstract. Nobody would ever. Who was Samson? Just hear from the stories of the Bible. Who was Abraham? Who was Moses? Who was Esther? You know, these are stories in the Bible. But I'm thinking, you need to write a book. I'm just thinking in my mind that, you know what, probably, you know, would be good to put actually real stories like yours.
That's right.
Because when you talk about these biblical characters and people can read that, oh yeah, that's a story, it happened, who knows, we're not there. But here's another example that is right in front of me. Because when I wrote this book, I've got quite a lot of comments, you know, from people that were saying, oh, Josh, I think your book has really helped me, you know, to see my life and to, you know, to see that actually I came out of a very poverty or a poor family and background and stuff like that. And I've seen God changing my life. And just to see that those were the two main things as well under your life. You know what, Prince? I still remember I was in grade 5. My English teacher, because I'll be probably different from you. You wanted two things achieved as goals, dreams for you: your education and God. And I must say, check where you are today. The Lord has made it. For me, I think by grade 5, my grades were very shaky, and English in particular. I never liked it. I didn't like my English teacher, and I would tell mom, bring all the different types of illnesses if I knew that I had an assignment, comprehension, composition, and all the jazz. You know, so because one day I remember, because I had not submitted my assignment on time, and by the time when I submitted it, he marked it. You know, and marked it. You know, that assignment where you know that when the paper comes out, you have a lot of red color, you know, and then marks, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And at the bottom there is almost written a passage down there, you know, and telling me how ineffective I would be, how my grammar was bad, and all that. And obviously, no, you know, English is not my first language, and I'm sure the same with you. And you'll find out that, you know, you struggle, you know, in your mind, you think, where is my future in this? Here is the teacher that I look up to, and he tells me, you will never make it in life. I remember his words very, very vividly. You will not make it in life, Josh. I don't even think you're gonna even do your O levels, because the rate at which you're doing your assignments, and I look at your English, and number one, you come from very poor family, and you are failing all my assignments. You are a failure. If I were you, try and do something probably practical with your hands. That shattered me. That broke me, because at home, you gotta understand, my dad and my mom, gosh, they were very disciplinarians in that sense, you know. If when you talked about school, you talk about, you know, your candles and fire. That was my story. I would study with my feet in a dish of cold water, because you know, we were designed in such a way that Daddy took education seriously. So I think when I hear your story, I get encouraged to realize that there is in your story from Dola, God was making a champion. Out of you. Wow.
That's right. And you know, in saying that, I thank God. I think I looked up so much to my teachers, because my teachers encouraged me. You know, by grade 3, I remember vividly my grade 3, from grade 3 to grade 6, my teachers, then they were really, you know, they gave me responsibilities, you know, because I was a little bit naughty, leading a group of young boys, like, you know, kind of, you know, like in school, you have a group of, you know, that look up to you, and because I was a little bit older than them, so they looked up to me in the class, and they used to call me Shaka Zulu, and because I used to be very, you know, very tough, you know, and they thought I would protect them. And so my teachers saw that kind of enthusiasm, that kind of, and they made me captain in the class and monitor and to keep
Come on, Prince.
But at the same time, I was very good in class, maths and English, and so they knew that there's something here. So they gave me responsibilities to be able to rein in that naughtiness in me, so that I don't rebel and get out of hand.
Wow!
And coming from, there's a point in my life from grade 3, I lived with my uncle and aunt, and the environment in the house was really, where you are living, you really feel like, oh, I'm not welcome in this house. You know? I used to wake up early in the morning, 5 a.m., winter cold, and I would water the lawn, and before I go to school, that is, and that gave me, for the first time, that was before I even met the Lord. I read the Bible. There was a Bible in my room that was an old Bible, not full Bible, some pages were missing. Okay. But that's the time I remember reading the Bible and read the stories in the Bible. And for some reason, that began to draw me to God. Okay. I remember the first time I gave my life to the Lord, I was somewhere in grade 4, grade 5. And because I was running away from the harsh environment at home, and I started going to church, and there was a group of young people, and that's the time that in the Anglican church they began this charismatic movement, and so there was a group of charismatic youths in there, and they were speaking about Jesus and talking about Jesus, and I got excited because I felt some sense of acceptance there. Okay. And I even went and got baptized, second time, after being baptized in the Anglican by sprinkling. As a child, I went to, it was just excitement of a young person, not really understanding, but I went and got baptized by immersion a second time. And so, for me, really, teachers were positive in my life because they sort of saw something in me, and they sort of gave me responsibilities. I know my teachers from, even in grade 8, I had a very good, wonderful grade 8 teacher, and I wrote a comprehension story, it's an English story, and she loved it, and she spoke highly of me to the whole class. For me, that boosted my confidence, school was really, for me, this is what I need to focus on to be able to escape this life.
Quite interesting, isn't it? It was the words of Paul. I think Romans 8 verse 28. When it
That's my favorite.
Yeah?
That's my favorite scripture.
How does it go again? It says,
For we know that
in
all things God
work together for the good to those who love him. And there you are. I'm looking at your life and I'm thinking, wow, you are born from a teenage mom, 9 months out of wedlock, just 9 months. You have to be adjusted in a new environment, raised by your grandparents, and all your primary school, and staying with them. And it seems as if you are being moved from one family to another at some stage in your life. And at school, even though you are doing well, but this harsh environment, there's something that I think I just love about your story, and I see it. It's with it all, it's the ugly bits in it there. You have got a father that has not been there, an absentee father, and you tell yourself that I choose not to be bitter.
That's right.
And so I wanted to ask you that. So how do you see those circumstances under which you grew in having shaped you to be who you are today? Because people see you there leading worship. People see you there as one of my co-preachers, and I see you there preach the word, and just the depth. There's something about your presentation that just makes me think that, wow, this is good stuff, And so how do you see those circumstances with the background and the stuff that happened to you, the rough, the twists and turns of life, having brought you to where you are today? How do your circumstances shape into who you are today? I just want to know, how did they help you to bring you to be where you are today?
Pastor, like you have said, Romans 8:28, we know that all things work together for the good of those that love God and love God according to his purpose. I look at those circumstances as things that, have really, God used to make me the man that I am today. I chose, and I always talk to people that always want to complain or want to wallow in self-pity because they didn't have a father or they didn't have that, they didn't have that. I said, you can either choose to be negative and let those circumstances break you, or you can choose to say, I want these ones to make me stronger so I can come out as a better person, as a better man. And I think I thank God for everything that happened in my life. I thank God. Actually, it's never really been an issue with me, the fact that I don't know my father. It's never been an issue for me. You know, I used to have issues of rejection and wanting to be accepted, yes, but you know, those things where I guess as a human being, everyone wants to belong, but it has never been an issue for me to dwell on that, to say, oh, my father was never there for me, and therefore I have to do this. And I think God had a hand on my life from the very beginning. Yeah. And he used those circumstances, you know, to really, really direct me in a way that he brought me to himself. And I've turned out to be what I am as a good father. You know, I could have used that as an excuse to say I want to be a bad parent to my children, but I'm using that to be able to say I don't want my children to go through you know, what I went through. I never had the opportunity to sit on my dad's lap and my dad to read a book for me.
Oh, come on.
Now every night before I go to bed, when my children say, Daddy, read us a story or read us the Bible, I look at that, I say, wow, you know, I do that.
Look, I mean, I've watched you. As I see your kids, and see the boy was so attached to you, and I say to myself, wow, with all this that you are sharing right now, and to see that actually you made a choice and a decision that I would not like to raise my family and my children the way I was raised. Neither would I like to use my bitter past to shape even their future.
That's right.
Most of the times I think that's what happens, isn't it?
That's right.
You find out that, you know, because sometimes I don't even, sometimes we do it knowing. Sometimes it's unaware. You don't seem to be realizing that actually your heart is out of your heart, and that bitter past and the issues that would have taken place. You know, you are now really projecting that to your children unaware, and it becomes really a cycle. They call it a pattern, generational, you know, problems.
And we use that a lot as an excuse,
right?
Generational cases,
yes,
you know.
Yes.
And how many times have we had
talk to me?
People go to be prayed for. Let's break this generational curse, or because you are rejected by your father. Because of, and sometimes it can just be an excuse for us to say we are in bondage. Or I am what I am.
Yeah, don't blame me. My father used to drink.
Or
I'm drinking too.
We use that as excuse, but you see, like you say, it's choices, really. It's
choices.
You make a choice. You decide at some point in your life. You have to decide to say, you know, it's the same thing. God gives us choices. He says, you should choose life or choose death. Choose curses or blessing. It's really a decision that we make ourselves, and not really make excuses because of where we grew up or the environment we grew up was abused or whatever. I'm not to take away from that. There's pain in that, but we have to come to a point where we decide to say, I'll make a choice. There are people that have grown up in a family where they have got both parents, you know, but they have turned out to be something else.
One actually of my favorite teachers, Bible teachers, Kiel and Anderson, he says, you are born looking like your parents, but you will die.
I like that.
Looking like your decisions. And I like quoting that because that's the powerful mantra. And I think, how true is that? That, you know, you can't change your DNA. No. You were born by your parents. You were born out of wedlock. You were born difficult circumstances.
That's right.
Actually, the truth about it in life, every human being, we are born dysfunctional.
That's right.
There's some form of dysfunctionality. I don't care how perfect your parents would have been, but you know, there is that form. But I think when I'm listening to your story and I see what you're saying with primary school, then they were started to make you class monitor or class prefect. It almost seems as if that thing there, that thing, I can't even describe it. It was there. There was the naughtiness this side. But there was this thing there of leadership that's almost calling you.
That's right.
And it is my desire that I think when people even read this book, that they find that thing that is in them.
That's right.
They find that inner compass and inner guide that can say about their lives that, you know, you are better than what you make yourself, you know, or what your friends say about you, what even your parents have said about you. Because as you grow up, you know, words are said. And you know the power of words. You know, one word can actually bury you, bury your dreams forever. But when you begin to hear stories live like yours, I'm really touched, Prince, I must say. And like I've said, I mean, you're one young father that I believe you are modeling for young couples today. See the way that you're raising your children. And I've watched you. I mean, even sometimes even late night meetings. There are times I'm tempted as your pastor to say, tell Prince not to come, because I know he's got kids, you know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking, but I've always seen you, they're there. Sometimes they're sleeping, but they're there. And when I look at it, I'm thinking, this is good foundation. Because, I mean, with what's happening in our world today in the contemporary world, there are a lot of things and distractions really that can actually swerve them away. But just for them to be there in an environment where you decided in your life as a teenager, God and the education brings you to where I am. So, is there anything, Brother Prince, that I want to ask you that you would change if you were to go back in your life and think all the stuff that happened? Or what would you change if there was anything to change, really?
Pastor, my wife this morning told me it was all part of God's plan.
All part of God's plan.
It was all part of God's plan. So I'd really not want to say, I think, it would have been better if I had that, if I had that. If I had that, who knows what would have happened? Who knows where I would have been? Who knows? So I thank God for everything that has happened in my life. I'm grateful, for the good things, for the bad things, because everything happened for a reason.
It's
like Joseph, when he came to the end, at the end of his says, you meant it for evil, God meant it for good.
Yes.
I may not have seen God in it at the time, but looking back now, I know I can say that everything, God is a master, master planner. He plans our lives. He knows, the places we were born. He knows where we're gonna be. He knows everything. So I thank God for my circumstances. I thank God for everything that happened. Because I won't be the person I am today if those things did not happen. So it was all part of His plan, and I don't understand why He chose that. But He is God. I don't want to be like Job asking God questions and they say, "Were you there? Were you there? Were you there?" I wouldn't answer my God if He asked me those questions. So I really thank Him that that everything that has happened really has shaped me. And I am who I am today because of Him and because of everything. All those circumstances worked out for good.
Now, Brother Prince, as obviously life is a journey, and we have not reached yet our destination.
Not definitely.
And I think that is why, for me, I called it the making of a champion, because I believe it's a series of events.
That's right.
Yeah, you're raising young kids now, and very soon, Akoza will be a teenage girl.
Oh dear.
And it seems like to me, every stage of life, it sort of presents different challenges.
That's right.
Correct?
That's right.
I mean, I've got two, and I begin oftentimes I sit down then I'm thinking exactly what my mom and dad used to say to me. One day you have a family, you will understand that all some of these things that you call curfew. Oh, you did, you want us this time. Oh, blah blah blah. You'll soon understand because I think the heart of a father, again, probably like what you're saying, having been raised myself by Christian parents, to be honest with you, they had their own share of problems and challenges, and oftentimes, I mean, as kids, we grow up in that environment. Just happens sometimes that parents don't seem actually realizing that there are negatives. They tend to play, in our head quite a lot. You think, what was that for? Or even altercations between the two of them. When you're young, you're thinking, all this thing, by the time when you grow up, but then you understand that they are only doing what humans have to do. That's why champions are made. And they're made through adversities, challenges, you have said it, ups and downs of life, and the stuff that they go through. I really appreciate what God has done through you, Prince, and I wanted to say, what would you say to somebody? I'm sure there are a lot of princes that are out there that are going through their own. There are a lot, use that same terminology, the princesses out there, both males and females that are struggling, that are sometimes they're in the deep end and they think, oh, how am I going to get out of this? Oh, I'm done. Oh, my life is finished. And they give up on life. And oftentimes I think that's what happens. People give up on their dreams. They give up on the assignments God has given them. Oh, when I was growing up, I really wanted to be like this. But I think what we are saying today is it's never too late.
It's never too late.
So what would you say to other people probably that are out there, different share of issues, different share of problems or whatever they're going through? what words of wisdom that you can tell us to those people out there?
Well, like the teacher said, remember your Creator.
Yep.
In the days.
Ecclesiastes. That's right. Yeah.
Ecclesiastes. Remember your Creator. No matter what happens in your life, God should always be your priority.
Come on.
I made a decision early in my life that God was gonna be my priority. I was gonna chase after Him, no matter what happens, wherever I go, where people see me, whether people don't see me. In my private life or in public life, God was gonna be my priority. And the only thing that has kept me sane or together, and I've made decisions in my life. Sometimes some of them I might not have been proud of them, but I always remember my God, and I had to go back to Him. And that's my advice would be, I'm not saying I felt God, in those situations, and I felt that God was with me, but I determined, I purposed upon myself to say that no matter what I go through, I'm gonna still go after Him. And that's why, week after week, I wanna be in His presence. I wanna pray, I wanna seek Him. I don't care how I'm feeling, whether it's raining or not. I want to be where He is, where God is. I wanna be there. So I made that decision early in life, and I had things what I call absolute. Somebody taught me about things like absolute, the things that they're absolutes in your life. Never do them. Make decisions, not based on what others are saying.
No.
Or you are supposed to make your own, decisions, choices to say these are things that I can do, and these are things I can't do. Some kind of rules for yourself that I can never do this.
I agree.
No matter how fancy or how fashionable it is, there are things that I just said, I'm never gonna do this. I'm gonna, because I've got my own destiny to pursue. I've got my own, life. There's something that God has for me, and I don't want to lose it. Because I think it's hard. Like somebody says, it's very easy to it's very difficult to build, a big tower, a big building, but to bring it down, it just takes one.
Come on.
One dynamite. And so I made a decision in my life to say, I'm gonna be with God. I'm gonna chase after God. And that is what has kept me focused. My focus has been on God and God alone. So there are certain things I said. For instance, when when it came time to decide to say I want to get married, I told myself I'm never gonna date a girl. The girl that I'm gonna date will be the girl I'm gonna marry. Wow. That was the decision I made then. And from the time I got saved, I remember praying for a partner early on, and it seemed crazy at the time. And that was years afterwards. But I made a decision to say I'm never gonna just have some relationship. The girl I'm gonna have a relationship will be the girl I marry. And that is a decision I made all in life, and I stuck to it. Not because I'm clever or anything like that, but that was my own personal decision.
Yes.
So that has really helped me to stay focused, is having those personal absolutes in life. To say I cannot I'll absolutely do this, and I can't these are things that are no go for me. I put boundaries in my life, because those are the ones that
boundaries. I had to learn that way as well. I met my wife 25 years ago, and everything was powerful, wonderful. But I think what then motivated me, actually, it was through her encouragement to write a book. And I was struggling as to what's going to be the title of this book.
That's right.
But she kept saying to me, share your story, because there's one thing that has made me stay with you in marriage. When you went through your own problems in our marriage, and things happened, and everybody started talking about it, and people were asking her questions, why is still staying in the same marriage and stuff like that. She says, there's one thing that I remember that made me stay. It is knowing the man that I married on the day when we got married made me stay.
That's right.
People did not know that, in the making of a champion, this is another challenge that will be like a stepping stone for you to where you are going. And I thank God for that encouragement that came from my wife. And now, Brother Prince, you mentioned something there when you said you read this book, you finished it, The Making of a Champion. You said to me, when I was reading it, I thought you did not finish. And I'm thinking, you don't know how many nights, that I was staying at work, and I was trying to finish this book, and I think it was going on forever. My wife would say, come on, wake up. Do the book. Remember, the publisher is coming to check on you and the book, because I had a deadline for 90 days when I wrote this book. With Pastor Femi and Pastor Dotton. So I think that really helped me. that I finished this book. So what can you say, and what would you advise? Just something about the book, really.
It's a powerful book. I would encourage everyone to get hold of it. I've read it. It's very straight to the point. Like I said, at some point I felt, he should have said more. It's one of that leaves you, a book that leaves you hungry because you want to hear more. So hopefully we're going to have second edition of this.
Please.
But it's really a very, very powerful book and a very encouraging book that tells you really that, you know, God really makes champions, and no matter what we go through, you may go through stuff and things that you go through, they are all pointing towards bringing out the very best out of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's really a book that I would encourage people to get, and it will leave them hungry for more because it has definitely left me hungry for more.
Thank you. I'll call you champion.
Champion
Prince.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, really. I think it has just helped me to get a great understanding, of your life and your story, and I do believe that out of our talk, somebody will be encouraged. And for anybody who like to order our books, obviously we are still working on to put them on Amazon. And in some of the local bookshops around here, but I think in South Africa we have already shipped some, and it will be available. And we are going to the States in America, in Washington. Another consignment has already been sent there. So keep on praying for us, and we believe that a lot of lives can be really touched and changed. Amen. That way. Thank you so much.
Praise God. Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah, all right.